UNA. Welcome to your paradise, the place you long for all your life. UNA University, manifesting all your dreams. With paradise, your land is home. Writing contracts on your own. Protect your loved ones every day. Knowledge goes a long, long way. UNA University for me. Yeah. Halo. Welcome. Halo. Welcome, everybody. I'm yours truly, Diva Lyri, representing for UNA University and UNA Republic. Halo. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Yes. UNA. Yeah, all right, y'all know I'm over here trying to make sure I'm able to be seen or being seen on TikTok, and I'm able to see my folks on TikTok. Welcome, YouTube. Welcome, TikTok. Welcome. I am so glad to be here with you today. Now, I am just trying to make sure, I want to make sure I'm connected with everybody. I see everybody. I want to make sure I see everybody's questions. So thank you for your patience. I'm trying to make sure I get logged in on here on TikTok. And y'all know sometimes it's glitchy. And today is one of those days. It's glitchy. But I want to make sure I get on here. And I want to welcome everybody who is viewing. Now, I want to say this because I was watching this session and was talking about how the viewers are like he said it's like your girlfriend, and so you're supposed to communicate with your girlfriend on your social media platforms, or let me rephrase that. You're supposed to communicate with your people like you would your girlfriend on the social media platforms. And I got to thinking about it, and that was an interesting point that he made. It was very interesting. And I got to wondering, do you all feel neglected by me? I just want to make sure y'all don't feel neglected, because y'all don't love me like that. I don't see y'all commenting and liking and sharing and subscribing, but if you do, let me know so that I'll know, I need to tighten up for you all right? But anyway, I just thought that would be interesting, because if you don't talk to your girlfriend in 2 weeks, she gonna disappear. She won't talk to you. All right, I get it. All right, so I'm trying to get on here to make sure I'm able to see my TikTok folks. and talk to them, because I do want to make sure I respond to everybody that has a question for me tonight. Now, tonight's session is called, we're talking about where my information comes from and why I do what I do. So basically it's titled The Truth Behind My Journey, okay? So we're going to go into that tonight, and I definitely want to answer any questions anybody has. If anybody has any comments you want to make, I want to hear them. Put them in the comments section. I want you to like, share, and subscribe. All my TikTok people, like and share and follow. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Now, before I get into that, I'm talking about let's go. Let's hold on now. I want to go into our memberships. Now, you all know we have the Awaken package. This is only $10 a month. You can get this, and this is what's going to happen is you're going to have texts and emails that come to you concerning our spiritual side, making sure you all know how to stay in your right mind. And we talk about that. I'm going to get into that in a second. But to stay in your right mind, all right? Because sometimes you need to hear a word. We got it right here, this package, $10 a month. And also, you're going to get an actual video with this on that $10 a month session. This is our $30 a month. This is the Transcendence, okay? This is for those of y'all who are trying to acclimate yourself so that you can become a part of the UNA University. This is going to get you a session, one of our private sessions, all right, coming from our university. So some of the topics that we talk about that we can't speak about in the open session, you're going to get one of those. You're going to get access to that. That's $30 a month. It's going to be a great plan. Also, you're going to get the 2 times a week, or actually 2 days out of the week, all right? So every day that we send out our inspirational messages, we send them in the morning and we send them in the evening. So 2 days out of the week, and we're going to personalize it. We're going to say your name, all right? So get this package if you really want to acclimate to the UNA University. Now, this is the Luminosity package. With this package, this is $100 actually. This is a different price, but $100. With this package, it's going to allow you everything in the Transcendence package, but you're going to get the course as well as to sit in on our Monday sessions, all right? That's our spiritual sessions. This week, this season, it's history, all right? What we're talking about, the current effects of history. This will get you in that class on Mondays, okay? So those are our packages. We want you to find us at unauniversity.com. You can also, for my people on TikTok, send a link. Send your name, email, and phone number, and we're going to send you an invite to our workshop, okay? Now, I was talking about, y'all know I'm really big on the spiritual side, and I'm going to get into why this evening, because that's part of what we're talking about. Now, don't forget about the UNA Beginner Law Book. In here are all of our, all of the maxims of laws, okay? They come straight from the Bible. You want to have these because these will help you stand in court. Courts around this planet have to respect the universal laws, or the maxims of law, which are in here. Inside of here also are the universal laws, okay? We have the vibratory frequency chart is also in here. We have the societal totem pole. We also have the hierarchy of laws in here, okay? So you want to get this book. We give you extra copies if you get the physical version, because we want you to put them up on your wall, all right? Put them on your mirrors. Put them on your refrigerator, because we want them to be a part of you, all right? So once they become a part of you, then you start changing your life. Let's go. All right, now, last thing, and then we're going to get into it. Membership. UNA membership package. This is the membership trust package. All of your trust documents come with this. If you know what a trust is and you know the power of a trust, you want this package. If you know the value of the information that comes with it, you want this package. So it comes with your membership documents or your trust documents. It comes with your membership badge. It comes with your allodial ID. And most importantly, it comes with an education, all right? So that you will learn what the trust is, why you're having these documents, why you're filing them, everything you need to know about what a trust is, how it works, okay? Anything concerning sovereignty, whether it be your birth certificate, your passport, your SF-181, your trust, all of that is going to be included in this education, all right? So you want to have that, be a part of, get that membership trust package, be a part of UNA. All right, now, that's it. Do I have anything else? No. Welcome. Also, we've got a new season starting. This is spring 2025. So we are now enrolling for spring 2025. If you're are interested in being involved in our spring 2025 season, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, so real quick, let me tell you what we're doing in spring 2025. So once again, for those of you all who are just joining us, welcome. I'm yours truly, Diva Lyri with UNA Republic and UNA University. I'm welcoming you to our spring season 2025. Let's do this. Now, what do we have going on in our spring season 2025? We've got 2 wonderful sessions, one on Monday, one on Wednesday. And y'all know our Monday classes is when we get into the spiritual side. And then our Wednesday classes is when we get into that more nuts and bolts. We go into it, get your hands dirty. Okay, so let's talk about that Monday class. Monday session is called The Current Effects of History. All right, in this class, what we're dealing with is how everything that started got to this point. All right, how we got started from the spiritual side to this point. So meaning we want to understand how our ancestors and our ancestral past affects what's going on today. So we're going deep into that. Going into the history of this country and other countries, going into who the different people are in this land, all right, and just how that past is affecting us today, and then how we move into the future and make it look like what we want it to look like, all right? So the current effects of history, that's our Monday class. We have also on Wednesdays, the right court document, all right? The right, W-R-I-T, court document. Now, in this class, we're showing you how to write the right court documents and understanding the fact that actually when you write, that is the court. You're also going to learn how to create your own court not only on the federal side, on the county side. All right, all right, all right, all right. I'm getting messages. Let me try this again. In the right court document, you're going to learn how to write the right court document, all right? That's very important because of what we need to recognize is, okay, I don't know who this is blowing me up over here. All right, just one moment, one moment. All right, so in recognizing you, in the right court, let me try this again. The right court document in this session, all right, you're going to be learning how to write a court document and understanding that when you start writing, you are in a court, you are creating a court, all right? So now, not only do you learn how to write a court document, you're going to learn how to stand on the private side as well as the public side. You're going to learn how to stand in the county with the court as well as on the federal side. And then if you ever need to step into a court, you are going to know how to stand. All right, so the right court document, this is going to be a powerful course. So we hope to see you there. Please send us a message if you're on TikTok, name, email, phone number. Okay, visit us at unauniversity.com, unauniversity.com, and you're going to be able to enroll there. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay, so today's session, I'm dealing with where my information comes from and why I do what I do, the truth behind my journey. So I get the question often that people ask me, well, how did you start doing this? And what were your goals? All right. Did you ever want to become a teacher? I had somebody ask me. And so I'm gonna go into that. So the way that I started in this is, for me, as far back as I can remember, would be the housing crisis, which happened in 2008. Okay, it was around that time that I remember I started asking a lot of questions, and basically, what's going on? This was around the time that I turned the TV off. And once I turned the TV off, then I had all these questions, and then information started flowing in. And so I started studying everything I could get my hands on. All right. So at that time, a lot of information was coming to me, and I found myself trying to tell people, and nobody was listening. Nobody. So I'm feeling frustrated. I feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall. I'm trying to tell people what's going on, and nobody wanted to hear it. I remember I asked this question to somebody, or I asked it it was on my Facebook feed. That's where it was. And I asked the question, if your uncle had gotten hit over the head and somebody stole his car, and then the person who stole his car came back around and was renting your uncle's car to him, what would you tell him? And you try to say, that's your car. That somebody else, they stole it. The guy who's trying to rent it to you, he stole your car and is trying to rent it to you, but your uncle didn't want to hear it. What would you say? And I asked this at least twice, and I just left it up there, and for the longest, nobody answered that post. So the third time I asked it, somebody answered it, and they say, you don't tell him anything if he doesn't want to hear it. And that was, to me, the saddest and most frustrating thing that I could hear, that I'm trying to tell these people. I'm trying to tell melanated folks, it's like, this is your land. And the people who stole it from you are renting it out to you, and you don't even want to know. I was like, you know what? I'm out. This is where it was in 2012 when I just decided I'm leaving, because they're not listening. Something is coming here. And I knew about COVID. I didn't know what the name was at the time, but I knew there would be a shutdown of the borders, which is what happened around that time in COVID. But I knew about that, and I knew about some other stuff that was coming, and I was like, I don't want to be here. They're not trying to listen. They're not trying to fight. They don't care. I can die by myself. I came here by myself. I can die by myself. So I'm out, and I left, and I went to South America. I didn't know anybody at that time. I owned an event facility. And it was doing okay. I was just gonna let it die out. I was like, look, it'll be 3 months or so, and then it'll die out. But that thing kept going. And as I was preparing to leave, I didn't want to have anything to do with another dollar bill. If I had never seen another dollar bill, I would be just fine. That's how I felt. And so when I left, I left with the intentions of never returning, because I knew what was coming. And let me say this, I was very nervous and apprehensive about leaving, but I was more afraid to stay here and take what I knew was coming than I was to go and be on my own. So I left and I went to Brazil. Now, why did I choose Brazil? One of the things that I was learning about is this thing called BRICS, BRICS. Now, what I know is that that if something is falling, and one of the things that I had learned is that the United States was on a decline. All right. So if something is falling, that means something else by law has to be rising. Right? Doesn't just everything fall. No, somebody else is rising. I want to know who it is. And so when I was doing research, I found the acronym BRICS, BRICS, that stood for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, excuse me, not South America, but South Africa. All right. And so for me, I was definitely looking for a place that was neutral, a place that wasn't involved in all this war stuff that was going on. And I found that more South American countries were more neutral. So ended up, I had to choose from Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Didn't want to go to South Africa. Definitely didn't want to go to Russia. India and China, didn't really want to go there. And then I did some research on Brazil, kind of find out they have the highest number of melanated people there, second only to Africa. So I was like, well then, let's go on down here to Brazil. I didn't even know what language they spoke. I was like, what do they speak down here? I'm thinking, okay, I got to learn some Spanish. But no, they speak Portuguese in Brazil, right? So I had to learn, and so I had 2 months, because by this time I'm like, I'm jumping ship, all right? And I got 2 months, you got 2 months to learn it, how to speak Portuguese. And so I learned enough. And one of the things that I know is that the numbers are the same wherever, all right? So money is money. I know how to get what I need, and I'm out. Did I know anybody there? No, I didn't. I didn't know anybody down in South America. It's like I had to find. So I did some researching. I found a company because they wanted a company there to sponsor me or say that, hey, I know her, she's great. Okay, fine. So I found a company to do that for me, and then I went down. I met the guy, hung out with him for a little while, and then I was on my way. All right. So that's what was the beginning of what I call my spiritual walk. I didn't know what it was at the time. I just knew that I had to leave here, and then I had to go to another country. You know what was so funny? I thought I would never see anybody again. And when I left with, I don't care who's not here, who passes, I'm out. Okay, I'm leaving everything behind. And I thought I would never see anybody from America again that I knew. But I got down to Brazil. I lived in Brazil for about 4 months, and then I decided to go into Argentina. All right. I'm not going to talk about the issues going on in Brazil, because I'm not going to, I want to talk bad about that country, but I left there and I went to Argentina. And it was interesting because I saw these two brothers that I had just hung out with at the festival, the jazz festival in Atlanta. And they had posted a picture, and they was like, yeah, Buenos Aires. And that's where I was. We doing this, baby. So they on Facebook talking about, yeah, we in Buenos Aires. And I was like, and I hit them up on Facebook. You in Buenos Aires? Yeah. And so I was like, where are you? I was like, I don't care where you are, I'm gonna find you. And so they said, yeah, we on Florida Street. I was like, wait a minute, are you in Buenos Aires or are you in North America? No, Buenos Aires, they got a Florida Street. I was like, I'm coming. And so we ended up getting together, and that made me feel, I don't know, it made me feel connected, because I really felt disconnected now, and I'm not gonna lie to you. But that made me feel connected when I saw them, and it gave me a little bit of hope. But what happened was my whole job that I gave myself was to learn the different countries. So I had traveled from Brazil, it was Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and my whole thing was to go to, it was on the coast over there. But just to find find connections or gain connections in these different countries, so that when it was time for folks to leave, I would be a liaison. And I still am. So I still maintain my connections. All right, that's another story. So while I was there, even before I had left, before I left the country, I had gotten deep into law and learning what's going on in this system. You talk about the birth certificate and all that, the trust, and what, you know, what the system is, how it was started, what the history was. So I had started to learn that and how to apply it. All right. So once I got into South America, you know, I would talk to people back in the States and I would try to help them. But again, I realized nobody is listening. So at this point, I just wanted to learn it so I can help myself, because one of my mottos is that I will die for my freedom. And I was very strong on that, especially when I found out who these people were and what my rights were. I would stand on my rights regardless of what part of the planet I'm on. I'm standing up for my rights. And what I know is that they cannot force you into a contract because you're God's property. All right, when you understand that, when we're talking about federal law and you really understand the power of what's going on a federal, and let me make this clear. I'm not saying that federal is totally on your side either. But what I am telling you is that there are laws that have been put in place to protect you. And if you stand on them, then they will. But you have to know what they are. So my whole deal was, listen, I know what my rights are. And I know that there's no law that forces me to have a contract with these agents. And that means that there's no law that says, oh, I got to show you a driver's license or an ID. There is no law. Because at the same time, if they were saying, oh, well, you know, our law's down here, well, then what did God say? Because God said you can't force me into a contract. And that's a contract when you're coming up to me talking about, well, I want to see an ID. So I went through that when I got into South America, mainly in Argentina, because Argentina, they just got cops all over the place and they constantly checking. Like, it, you know, I don't know, something went on in that country, but they just have cops all over the place and they was constantly trying to check. And, well, I need to see your ID. No, no, you don't. So I was big on standing on my rights because I knew what the law was. But at one point, I ended up having an entanglement, if you want to call it that, whereby this was on New Year's. No, it was Christmas Eve. And I was coming back from a show. And I'm in the cab, and this happens all the time. I'm in the cab, and then they wanted to start talking about, well, I need to see an ID. Well, you got jurisdiction over the cab driver, not me. So I just get out the cab and I walk the rest of the way. Well, in this case, you know, they asking me for an ID, and I'm like, no, you don't have jurisdiction, and I don't want to give you my ID. Now, did I have ID? Yeah, I did. But what'd I say? I'm gonna stand on my rights, and I mean that. So at this point, I'm standing on my rights. And this is when, you know, it was this whole, we're going to check your bag. You don't have jurisdiction over me. I already told you who I am. I told you my name. That's all I need to even give you. But then it became snatching my bag. And then, I wouldn't say it was an argument. It was just me standing saying, I don't have to give you an ID. I already told you my name. What is all this where you're trying to check my bag? You don't have the authority to check my bag. So then they snatched the bag and arrested me, right? They kidnapped me is what they did. And they took me not to jail, but to prison. And there, once again, this was Christmas, coming back from a show, this is Christmas Eve. And then, so I'm frustrated because I'm like, look, I got a show to do. I'm not here trying to be, you know, dealing with this mess. And this is now, at this time, I had not completed a trust. I had sent out messages because, to their departments or what have you, saying, hey, you all don't have authority, blah, blah, blah. And just kind of not really being in it, but just, I don't appreciate you, blah, blah, blah. And whatever I'm saying in my notices that I'm sending to them. But then it was at that time, after that time, that's when I had to be in it. I got serious. All right. So let me say this, and I'm going to back up before that point happened. When I was in South America, and especially, I was in Brazil. I lived there for a while, and then Argentina. In this time, I'm studying any and everything, whether it was science, history, it could be, UFOs. I'm studying everything, anything governmental, foreign policy. I'm in it. I'm studying everything because at this time, it really, the whole time I had the ability and the luxury of just being able to study whatever I wanted to, and I studied. And so, I had knowledge about law, but then I didn't know what the United States was until I actually had gotten into South America. I had started to learn how other countries respected the color of my skin. I had learned the lies that we had been taught in the land y'all know of as North America or United States of America. We have been taught, especially all of us, melanated and non-melanated, but especially melanated people. I had learned the mindset that we had fallen into, and the fact that, no, the problem is not everybody else, it's the lies that we have been taught and the mindset that we've fallen into concerning skin color. The rest of the world does not hate us because of our skin color. They don't. And then I learned what we did as melanated folk. All right. Whether it be the so-called Indians or the so-called Moors or the so-called British Moors, all of those people, the royalty, all of those people were melanated. And we were never told, even when you start talking about the European, why they not telling us the original Europeans were melanated? Why we don't know that? So a lot of facts were unearthed when I was able to just study. And one of the things that I found even before I left is that people just don't want to study. They want to believe what they hear. And then somebody telling them, like, oh, that sounds good. I like it. Yeah, that's it. That's the truth. Facts. When everything they're talking about facts is a lie. And it's like, if you would have just read this, you would have known that that's not a fact. Okay. So I'm writing my notices. And then it wasn't until, after the kidnapping, because that's what it was, where I really got deep into it. And then it was like, okay, no, I'm putting this trust out. So my first trust went out in Argentina. All right. And so I get questions, were you afraid in prison or what have you? So one of the things that I had learned is, which I talk to you all about all the time, are the universal laws. All right. I know these are true because it was in Argentina when I really started to implement these laws. All right. So because I knew these laws, I knew that I had not put out a negative energy. All right. I knew that everything happens for a reason, but I didn't understand what was going on here. Now, what I did learn is that had I not gone through that, there's no way that I could sit here and tell you the things that I tell you with such confidence. I know because I lived it. All right. I know this universal laws are real. I know the hierarchies of laws are real. As a matter of fact, this hierarchy of law chart came because I was in prison. The first edition of this was in Spanish. All right. And it was because I had been through it and I understood what this hierarchy was. Yeah. Now I can write this down, and I know this is law. Not only is it law because it is, but it's law because it's on public record. And it's been on public record. I wrote this law, and it stands. So what I'm saying to you is that, when that incident happened, it answered a lot of questions, and it was absolutely necessary for me to get to this point. Somebody asked me, well, did you ever think you would be a teacher? And I tell you, absolutely not. The whole thought about being any kind of teacher or instructor was an insult to me. I was like, I'm not going to teacher. And people would try to say, you should teach, and you should. I'm not a teacher. That's not what I do. I'm just giving you the information. Well, here I am with a university and a full-fledged teacher now, instructor. Okay. Universe makes things happen the way they need to happen, I suppose. All right. But my whole point of this is, I learned so much in that place that I would not have learned had I not gone there. One of the things, I was a singer. As I told you, I was coming from a show when I was kidnapped. And I learned the power of my voice, how it affects people, how it affected me. Because one of the things when I first got in there, my whole thing was I need to keep singing. All right. Meaning while I was there, I need to make sure I lifted my energies with my voice. And I remember when there was the first night and I told you they had me there for six days. But the first night they arrested me. I'm like, oh, I need to get up out of here. I know this. I'm just thinking I'm going to be there. I'm going to get out the next day. So I'm in there. I'm just singing because I'm like, I'll be here. So I'm running through my show because I'm like, I got a show tomorrow and I need to get up out of here tomorrow because I'm not playing with these people, whatever. I'm going to keep my energies high. Okay. So I'm singing. And now I'm in the cell by myself. And then in the back there, there were people back there or what have you, but I'm just singing because I'm like, I'm going to do what I do. And I remember when I finished the song, you can hear a voice in the back say, "Uno más." And that means one more. They wanted me to sing another song. It was funny. But what I found out, when they come in to get me the next day, and I find out that I was well known throughout the country because I had traveled the country singing. So I'm in the northern part of the country. I'm in the southern part. So I'm just traveling all over and I'm doing shows. And so people had started to get to know me. And I remember when they were the next day, they were moving me around and somebody was like, "Hey, my boss said he knows you. And they saw you in," it was another, I think it was Salta, which is another city in the northern part of Argentina. And it's like, "What are you doing here?" All right. And so it was like, everybody, they wanted me to sing. They kept asking me to sing, they wanted me to sing. So anyway, they moved me around, switched me around. And one of the things that I tell people not to do, don't sign anything. Don't consent to blood tests. Don't consent to any kind of thumbprinting. All right. And stupidly, I consented to that. This before again, I wasn't under trust, but I knew I wasn't supposed to be signing anything. I knew that. But I'm sitting up here consenting to, because I'm thinking I'm trying to get out of here. All right, I just want to get out of here. All right, you get what you need so I can go. But then they handcuffed me to this other woman, right? And then they take us into this area right in front of the jail cell where the males were. And then they handcuff us right there where the guys were. This was an intimidation tactic. All right. Very illegal. Very illegal. And one of the things that I put in my notice when I sued them, that they shouldn't have been doing. But the guy was like, well, we need you to sign this. And I'm like, no, I can't even read this. Who's going to translate this? You all supposed to have a translator by law. And the guy was like, well, we don't have a translator. Of course, he's speaking in Spanish. And so I said, I don't even understand what this is. So you can't force me to sign a contract and I don't understand what it is. I was like, give me a pen and paper and I'm going to write out what happened. And then I'll sign that. I'm not signing this. But anyway, it was this whole back and forth. And then the guy started talking, well, you should sign it. They saying it in Spanish. And I'm like, dude, shut up. So I was like, look, I need to talk to somebody. And so what ended up happening was, stupidly, because I'm thinking I'm great. So I was like, look, if I sign this, am I getting out of here? Yeah, you're getting out of here. So I stupidly signed it. And then that was the signature for me to go off to prison. Not jail. They took me from the jail to prison. So now my whole concern was I got a show. And I would like to be out of here in time for my show. And they're like, oh, yeah, you should be out of here pretty quick. So what ends up happening is they take me from that place to another place. And they're trying to get me to sign another document because they want to take me to the population. And it was at that point where I was like, I don't give a darn what y'all do. I'm not signing another thing. I'm not signing anything else. And so, it was interesting the way they acted when I decided I wasn't going to sign anything. So pay attention to what I'm about to say. The only way that they could take me to the other part of the jail was if they had my signature. Now, it was at this time that I became a little bit concerned because I saw them trying to force me to sign this contract. And I was like, I don't even know what this says. What does this say? Say this in English. What is that? Okay, I need somebody. You can translate. And at that, I was like, I'm not signing it because I don't understand what it is. I can't read this. And so by law, it's your responsibility to have a translator here if you're going to try to lock me up to explain this contract that I don't understand. And so I saw them getting frustrated, like as though because I wasn't signing this contract, they didn't get a commission. That's what it felt like. If we get her to sign it, we're going to get paid. So I wasn't signing anything. And they were like, well, go stand over there. And they had me standing in this area. The area looked like a concentration camp. Like some kind of, what do they call it? It looked like a gas chamber. Not that I know really what a gas chamber looked like. But in my imagination, I'm like, this a gas chamber? What are they going to do to me? Now, mind you, I'm in Argentina. Nobody knows what's going on. But my mama knows. She feels it. I'm going to go into that. Because I talked to you guys about the mitochondria and what it does. All right. This Christmas day. Now, normally my mother doesn't bother me. I'll call her and sometimes she'll call me, but not normally. She doesn't bother me, but nobody knew where I was. And I got a little bit concerned. All right. And I almost lost my hold on my energy. And so I said, Diva, you need to sing. All right. You need to sing. And so I started singing. And it was, I remember it was Stand By Me. And I started off soft because I just needed to get to another place spiritually. And it was when the night, and I started singing, right? So I'm over there and I'm singing soft. And then the next thing, I just got into it. I felt like I'm on stage, right? I started grooving in it. And the guy, I remember, so there was a desk in front of me and there was a guy sitting there and he was listening. And I wasn't really looking at him. I was just like, when the night has come and the land is dark. And so I start singing, and this woman comes in, because really I had gone into the song a little bit, and this guy's sitting over here, and the woman comes in, and she's like, hey, listen, we got this. He was like, shh, 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 shh. I'm listening to the sing. Shh, be quiet. So he's telling her to be quiet so he can listen to me sing. So I finished singing that song. And what was so funny is the guy says, uno más. So, and then they said, Amy Winehouse. So I was like, okay. Wanna take me go to rehab? That rehab song, I sang that, and then they start singing, no, no, no. And next thing you know, all the cops are coming into this area that looked like a gas chamber. And anyway, it just lifted me. All right, it lifted my spirits and my energy. But that was that case, and they still couldn't move me to the other place, so they had to take me to another prison. All right, I don't really know why they kept switching me around, but they took me to another prison. And then they was like, all right, we need you to sign this. And I was like, no, I tell you what I need. I need a pen and paper, because I need to write your lawyer and the warden. All right, because what you guys are doing is criminal. You've kidnapped me. You've been holding me for however many days. I need to be let go, and I need to talk to your lawyer right now and your warden, and I need to write a notice. So I wrote a notice to the warden, letting her know that they didn't have jurisdiction over me, and that now I'm the only one. They were nervous because they was like, we never had an American in this prison. Yeah, y'all don't even want to be making history like this, man. What happened is the lawyer for the prison came down, and she talked to me, spoke very good English. And I told her what the deal is. And I said, listen, she said, well, listen, we just are holding you because they told us to hold you. Yeah, well, y'all are party to it. All this, it was the finger pointing. Well, we didn't do it, they did it. And they said, look, ma'am, I don't care. Y'all gonna get sued because you're holding me. You need to let me go. You don't have jurisdiction. There was no reason for me to be arrested in the first place. Anyway, all that's done. The other things that I learned about my voice. I remember when I first got to that place, I'm singing. And again, I'm just trying to stay in my right mind. And I saw these pigeons. Really, they come down and then they fly off. But what I remember is they weren't there when I started singing. And after I started singing, all these pigeons started to gather in this area. And I was like, are these pigeons listening to me sing? And so then I stopped singing, and then they flew off. And then when I started singing again, they flew back in. And it was interesting, okay, just to see how that whole thing, recognizing the voice and how powerful it is. The other thing that I learned there, and you remember that movie, It's a Good Life, where the guy, he died, and the three ghosts visited him and all. Okay, that's what happened to me. I had visitations, all right, or spiritual visitations in that way, where it's like, I'm asking these questions and the spirits are sending me answers. I learned the importance of kindness, compassion, and love when I was there. And I went from so many different emotions, from very, very angry, like violently angry, to grateful and appreciative. Okay, so one of the other things that I learned there, I remember when I would wake up, every day I woke up, I was so angry. Like, why am I here? And I remember they would come in and they would check us to, they want to check your body to make sure you didn't have any bruises, make sure that the inmates weren't getting abused while they were in the prison. So I had not eaten because I don't eat meat, and then they really didn't have anything to serve me there because I wasn't eating the food. And at this point, I'm just like, they better not mess with me today. I'm not for it, because I'm ready to take everybody down, and whatever happens, happens. But I remember the woman, the whoever was guarding it or what have you, she came in and she starts talking to me, and she was like, she's like, okay, well, we need to do it. I don't care what you need to do. I'm not doing it. All right, that's how I was. I'm not. And she says, what's wrong? You know, they told me you haven't eaten in 4 days, and I know you're hungry. Listen, are you okay? Or what can I get you? How can I help? Listen, at that point, she made me feel as though she cared. And her kindness or her compassion towards me melted my anger. And I mean melted it. Because I wasn't going to be cooperative with nothing. It was like, lady, get the hell out of this room and don't come back in here until you tell me I'm ready to get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. But she said, what's wrong? And she made me feel once again as though she cared. And because of that, it helped me to understand the power of compassion and kindness and love. So I learned a lot of things there. I learned, also when it comes to law, what the maxims of law, why am I saying, the maxims of law so high, or the laws of maxim, why am I saying they're so high? Because I know that everybody around this planet, anybody who talking about raise your hand and do you swear to tell the truth, they right here, these laws are the highest. Laws of maxim. And they're going to respect them. But you got to tell them who your God is. If you don't ever claim your God, then they don't have to respect your God's laws, because your God doesn't exist. You didn't put him forward. And so when, I was dealing with this because I sued them. I created the court. And then I said, my whole thing was, first of all, you don't have a right to force me into a contract. There is no law that says I have to show you an ID. And their whole thing was, well, our laws are different down here. You have laws in your country, and we have laws in our country. Excuse me. Is your God the same here as God is in America? Well, no. They the same God. Is the God here different than the one in Paris or the one in Africa? Well, no, it's the same. It's only one God. Well, then, God said you can't force me into a contract. How are you telling me there's a law that tells you I have to show my ID when God said you can't force me into a contract? The maxims of law are the highest. So then how are you telling me your laws override what God said? Are these cold and then I said, show me the law. Okay, come on, let's play this game. Show me the law. Show it to me. So she pulls out this thick book. And she's going to put it down on the table. See, Codigos. Ma'am, what that say? That said Codigos. That's a code. That's not a law. I said, show me the law. No, never mind. Let's play. Show me the code. Open it up. Here. Show me the code. She don't want to open it up. You know why? Because it doesn't exist. Even if you show me a code or your quote unquote law that says, oh, you have to show ID, I'm going to show you God's law that says you don't have the right. And I'm going to show it to you in a Bible to force me into a contract. You don't have the right. So anyway, when I speak on these things, I know that I know that I know. Because I had to go down there and fight with these people when they kidnapped me. Once I got out, it was on. It was on. And I put all of these things on record there. And I had to, they were telling me, well, you got to have a lawyer. You got to have a lawyer. No, you don't. Is this federal? That's why I purposely found the federal courts in that country, Is this federal? And then I went and pulled, because they were trying to tell me I couldn't put it on record. So I pulled the federal codes from their country, federal codes in their language. If you don't put this on record right now, somebody going to prison. Who want to go to prison? Well, let's just say it got on record, all right? Because I had to stand. But they telling everybody else in that country, well, you got to have a lawyer. You know how much lawyers, they charge more for lawyers in that country than they do here in North America. It was crazy. Not that I wanted a lawyer, because a lawyer cannot represent me. But you can't, you have to be a lawyer. No, that's not federal law. That's not what God said. So that's why it got on record. That, and again, I know that I know, and this is in a country where English is not Spanish is not my first language. But I had to learn how to navigate. And I know that when it comes to federal, I know that I have standing. And had it not been for that, they would have kept trying to railroad me to the point where the case never got on record. All right. So that was part of my journey. I had to go through that. Otherwise, I can't sit here and tell you what I know. I've been speculating. Well, you know, I think federal. I think it. No. The laws are the same regardless of what country you go into. Now, they got their own codes, but if you know God, you know your God, and you know how to invoke the rights of your God, then that's where your power comes from. All right? So then the other questions, I just closed my notes up here. But the other questions that come up as far as what my journey is, the truth about my journey. So I want to welcome everybody in. Thank you for joining, all two of you. See, y'all don't love me. Y'all don't be talking about, hey, Diva, how you doing? Just checking in. No, y'all don't love me, but okay. Thank you for the badge and the love and the flowers and the hearts, my TikTok peoples. What's going on, the toke? All right, so thank you all for joining. Just going through what my journey was, where my information comes from, and why I do what I do. Okay, the truth behind my journey. So once I get out, then I'm really deep in it now. Now I'm starting to help other people in North America. And let me back up, because even before that, I really wasn't trying to help I wasn't trying to help people at all, because once again, nobody was listening. I had been trying to tell people about law and what I learned and whatever, and nobody was listening. But what happened, and I'll go into this. Again, I told you I had started to implement the universal laws as I was in this country, all right? Argentina mainly. So I had started to learn what they were. And there was a friend who had asked me some questions. She was like, Diva, I want you to tell me about are you talking about parthenogenesis? Yeah, I want to know about parthenogenesis. Yes, okay, that's where the woman can give birth without the man. Okay, so I'm telling her about it, and we're having our conversations. We became friends, and we talk now and then. And she would tell me about her mortgage and how she wished she had never gotten into the mortgage. And I was like, whenever she was saying, by this time I didn't want to have nothing to do with telling somebody about law, because I had told enough people, and enough people had turned me down or weren't listening or turned me off. And I was like, look, I'm done. So when she tells me about, I wish I had known you, Diva, because I wouldn't be in this mortgage, and this mortgage, and this mortgage. And she would always say, and I'd be like, well, good luck. Next time she talk about it, I'm like, well, yeah, well, good luck with that. And that was my whole thing. Good luck, because I'm not talking to anybody else about this because nobody is listening. So one day I got off the phone with her, and the spirit said to me, Diva, you can help her. And I was like, no, I can't. No, I can't. Who is talking? I can't hear you because I'm not trying to help her. But the spirit was like, you can help her. And for me, the thing was not about the money, but about my time and energy. So my whole deal was I had told so many people and tried to help people and put energy and time behind it. And I don't mind helping people, but then use the information. Don't have me sitting here with you for hours and working on stuff and then you not using the information. So for me, I know that I'm supposed to be able to give it and not have any issues with giving it. So I had to find a way where I can make it business, where I can say, okay, I'm gonna charge you this, and then if you use it, good. If you don't use it, good. And it wasn't about the price. It wasn't about, it could be $10. It's a little bit more than that. But it didn't matter. I just wanted to make sure that it's a business transaction so I can say I got what I was supposed to get. I gave you what I told you I was going to give you. If you don't use it, that's on you. And I don't have any feelings about it because it was just business. So I got into helping her clear up the mortgage, her car note, her credit card bills. All right. And so we started dealing with all those things. And what I immediately recognized, well, I should say immediately, but after some time, I recognized that this was a spiritual journey. This was another part of my spiritual journey that I was walking. And so when I get into helping someone, now I'm on a journey with them. And she's not just walking it by herself, I'm walking it with her too. So spiritually, I'm going through it with her. And it was an undertaking because I grew a lot. I had to learn a lot about self as I went through this with her. I had to deal with her energies. I had to deal with the energies that were coming on her and the energies that were coming on me because I was helping her. There was a lot to it. And so it was after that I realized, okay, I can build on this and I can help other people with trust and all these other things. So, after that, I started helping all kind of people in North America. I'm still in South America helping her. She's in North America, but I was helping her. I'm helping, people all across the United States from Argentina. And, I'm recognizing the Spirit sent it to me, sent a message. It's time for you to go back. I was like, no, it's not. Who is that talking to me? It's not. I don't want to go back. But it was time. The vision. So the spirits, I don't know. They communicate with me in different ways, as I'm sure they do with other people. Sometimes it's a vision. Sometimes it's hearing. Sometimes it's an image, dreams. Sometimes something you hear or see. But the vision was there in this case. And it was like, you're going to have to go back. And I did not want to go back. But I had started helping a lot of people. And, they were under trust because they were like, Diva, how do I do this? And what's this document for? And how do I go over here and do? Okay. And then, so there were times when I would actually call the different counties when people go to try to put their documents on record, and I would have to call from them and talk to the clerk and get stuff situated. It's like, okay, well, they're going to come up in there and I need you to take their documentation and put it on record. And just like that, it's done. So what ended up happening was my father passed. I remember I had kept trying to get in contact with my dad, and he wasn't responding. And then my sister, half sister, she sent me a message and she said he passed. And so I remember telling my mom, my mom and my dad were separated. They hadn't been together since I was a baby. But I called her and I told her, and then she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." She said, "Well, when you coming home?" I was like, "I'm not. I didn't say nothing about coming home. What you talking about? I'm at home. I'm at home. I'm home. No, when you come, you got to see your father off." I was like, she's like, "If it's the money, I got the money." I was like, I'm good. But, she made me feel some kind of way. She's like, "You need to come home and see your dad." I was like, I didn't want to go. But then I was thinking, okay, this whole thing that I knew was coming, it hasn't happened, and I'm sure it's not going to happen. This was late 2019. This was actually in December, November, late November, early December when this happened. And okay, it hasn't happened yet. So maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe I'm safe to go back. So I go ahead and book the ticket to come back. So that I can see my dad off. And once I book the ticket and I get back, you was there. All hell broke loose. This was in 2020. So it was 2019. So I was right there, Thanksgiving. That's when I was at home. I was at home, that came home maybe the day before that. And then I was like, okay, so I need to figure out my next move, because I was like, I'm ready to leave this country and get back up out of here. I was deciding, where am I going? France? I don't know. Okay, but let me figure it out. And January hit, and it was all this talk about COVID-19 is going, and they're shutting down the. All right, so I'm like, this is a trip. Unbelievable that I stay away from all this. By that time, I had been out of the country for over 7 years. All right, so now, I'm kind of like, okay, well, what's going to happen? Nothing? Okay, well, let me go back up here for a minute, and then I'm going to dip back out. Now, COVID hit. And so then it was like, well, we're shutting down the airports. And I remember at that time, I was also putting my documents on public record in North America. They were already on record in Argentina, but I wanted them on record in North America. So I go to put my documents on record, and I get blocked. I'm helping everybody else, but then when I go to put mine on record, I get blocked. No, we got a problem here, because see, we need to have our own county. That's what we need. We need our own county, so that when they try to block us, it's already on record and they can't stop it. That's when United Nations from America came about. All right. 2020. Why? Because my whole deal was, okay, I need something that's inclusive, because I had another organization that I had. It was, melanated of the nations of the what. Okay. But I needed something that included everybody, because by this time, I have a lot of Albion people who have been supporting me, who have shown me love, and that's in Argentina. All right. So I was like, this needs to be inclusive of everybody, and it needs to sound similar to what they're doing. The same way the United States purposely created the United States to sound similar to the United States of America, so that people would be confused. Okay. I got it. United Nations from America. Oh, you with the United Nations? How long you been working with it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm with the United Nations from America. So in that, now, we've started this organization, and finally, we wrote up all of the preface for UNA, what it stood for, what the purpose of it was, and all of that. And we put that on record, as well as, I did get my documents on record as well, but we created the county. And our purpose is to make sure that when people are getting blocked, they have a place to go. All right, they can put their documents on record. That's what it was for. All right. So just answering questions once again. To preface, want to welcome everybody who's watching. I want you to like and share, subscribe, send put a message in the comment section if you have any questions. Just answering some questions, where my information comes from and why I do what I do. the truth behind my journey. Okay, so now you're understanding where UNA came from, why it started. Halo S Walk, welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you. One person is listening. I appreciate that. You made me feel so heard. Okay. Um, so what made me start learning, as I told you, was just that whole housing crisis. I started asking questions. By that time, I had turned the TV off. All kind of information started coming. Where does my information come from? All right. So this is a big question I get, because people are constantly asking, well, what book can I read, and where can I go to find the information, and what? Listen, I don't have a specific book. The main books that you know what I read? I read legal documentation, scientific documentation that's not skewed, because a lot of these science places, they've been bought out. I read biblical and ancient texts and scripts. Okay, Book of Jasher, Book of Enki. Hey, Lorena, welcome. Thank you for joining. All right, Book of Enki, Book of Jasher. Okay, I read. Look, when we're talking about the legal documentations, Declaration of Independence, read it. The Constitution, read it. Learn about the original Constitution, or the organic Constitution. Understand what really happened in the past. One of the guys who really started me on it, his name is Maxwell, Jordan Maxwell. I was listening to him a lot. And here's the other thing. Let me tell you about with UNA. When I first started UNA, and then I posted it on Facebook, it blew up. Had a lot of people coming there to the group. And basically, what I found is that I didn't care for the energy. So let me tell you why. Okay. You all hear me speak about how important the spiritual aspect of it is, and how when I had that first client, it was a spiritual journey, and it was heavy. When I say that, I mean it was heavy. I had to, learn a lot. It was, again, dealing with her energies. That's a spiritual walk. Okay. And so coming back into the United States, and understanding the importance of the universal laws, understanding the importance of the hierarchy of law, dealing with the people who were coming in the group, they were more, I don't want to use this term, but for lack of people who were fighting, I'll just use that term. They were angry, fighting, upset, disgruntled, all right? Wanting money. Oh, Diva, I want to get that birth, I get my birth certificate authenticated, because I know I'm gonna have some money, because I want to put the money in the bank account, and then I can spend, because the money is mine, it belongs to me, Diva. I want the birth certificate authenticated, because somebody has told them that you're going to get money when you authenticate the birth certificate. But let me make it clear, it is not as simple as what they have told you. That's number one. And number two, the other thing that I was finding is that, I have people come to me with issues, and yeah, I want to help you. Diva, they gave me a traffic ticket. But, I get the people coming at me, well, Diva, I got a DUI. I don't want to help you. I don't. Let me be 100% honest, because a DUI is an indication that you are not disciplined or responsible. The DUI is trying to tell you need to check yourself before you hurt somebody. Now, I could help. I can. Because we know what laws are. I'm going to just say it like that. Okay. But I'm not interested in helping somebody get off on something. Well, what happens when I step in and help this person who has this DUI get off? Well, they're going to go do it again. And then this time, they might actually kill somebody. Well, is Diva Lyri responsible for that? Yes, you bet I am. And so my whole thing is, again, understanding universal laws. Everything happens for a reason. Just like I end up in prison because I don't want to show my ID, I was there for a reason. And I know I can't be sitting here talking to you with confidence without that happening to me. Now, you got your DUI, and there's a reason you got it. Well, because you're not being responsible. We know that. So if I come in and I decide I'm going to use my powers and Johnny Cochran your way out of this whole situation, well, when you end up killing somebody, what kind of spiritual connotation is that on me? So what I had to learn is that there's a certain type of client that we're looking for with respect to UNA and the UNA University. So there was originally UNA, United Nations from America. And we started to help people get their trust and, all of these things. And, I found out there was a lot of people selling packages. We're selling packages over here. I'm selling packages, and you just a trust package. And people sell it even now. Somebody stole my information and selling my package for more than what I sell my package for. All right. But what's the difference? Education. So I'm not just selling packages here. I need you to know what the trust is. What does this mean? What are these documents that you're filling out? Where are you putting them? Why are you putting them there? You got to know that, because then people will come back. And one of the things I am very, for me, I take very seriously is my reputation. I don't care for people to be saying, well, it didn't work for me. UNA didn't. Why doesn't it work? Well, one of the things people are not recognizing, first of all, if you don't know what the documents are or how to use them, nor how to stand, now that trust is not going to work for you. As I say often, it's like a weapon. It's a tool and a weapon. But if you don't know how to use the tool, then it can't work for you. What good is a gun when a bear pop out of the woods and you don't know how to take the safety off? It's no good. Neither is that trust when the agents come up on you. If you don't know how to stand, if you don't know how to conflict manage the situation, conflict management, what do you say so that you don't get your windows busted out? And then on the spiritual side, all right, yeah, you should show respect to everybody, not because you out of fear. You shouldn't be fearing them. But you should show respect because that's what you're supposed to do, show respect, even when they aggravate you. But before that, were you showing respect to other people? Because if you weren't, then that cop is going to deliver the energy that you put out somewhere else. And this is the issue that people have, because they don't understand energies. They don't understand how they work. So my job, and the reason why I do what I do, is so that you understand the energies. Everybody wants a quick fix. Oh, Diva, I need to get out of this because I got a court case, and they about to take my house, Diva. They about to take my car. And what I started to find out is everything is spiritual. When you're getting your car taken, when you're getting your house taken, everything is spiritual. And so everything that I do has to start from that place. And this is why UNA is actually transitioning into another thing, if you will. We're going to another level, because now the people that come in, they need to be willing to learn. There is no quick fix. Everything is spiritual. And when you get your spiritual energies intact, then everything on the physical side shows up the way you need it to show up. That's been the problem. This is why people get packages from other people and it doesn't work. Well, you know, I'm gonna get this birth certificate authenticated, and then they get it authenticated, and then what? Nothing. They're still searching. Or they try to get out of a ticket, and then what? Well, it doesn't work for them, and they want to think it has to do with the paperwork. I'm going to give you some examples so you can understand what I'm saying. Okay. I had a student who had come through the class and he was all excited. I got my trust, and Diva Lyri showed me how to get my trust, and then she walked me through it, and I was like, this is great. I can do this. Okay. So then this guy decides that he wants to, this is during the COVID time. He says, you know what, Diva, you know what? I decided to put my house, the house I'm living in, under trust. He wanted to put the house under trust. I was like, okay, well, why are you doing that? Because, you know, I can't afford it because this COVID thing happening, and it don't, you know, I can't, so since I can't pay, but see, if I put it under trust, then he can't put me out. Do you own the house? Well, no, you know, but see, I don't, but COVID, this COVID thing, I can't afford it. You're supposed to be a sovereign. When the government shutting down, you're supposed to be sovereign. As a sovereign, you're not supposed to even be dependent on the government. What are you talking about? You, as a sovereign, when you say you're going to do something, your word is your bond. You find a way. You manifest a way. You're not understanding what you're doing. Why? Because this man, he has to pay rent. You signed a contract that you were going to pay rent. Now you just want to use a tool to hurt this man because he still got to pay rent, even though your grown self, your grown want to be sovereign self, you're not paying him, but he still has to pay rent. That is dishonor. That is dishonorable. You're not being respectful. You need to think about how would you feel if you have a full-grown person living up in your house and they're not paying you, but you still got to pay mortgage. Yeah, you're going to pay for that. Okay. So now he's well, you know, I got to do what I got to do. Okay, do what you got to do. Then next thing you know, and I'm telling you, within a week or two, he's telling me about how he got pulled over in his precious BMW. And he is now, they locked him up, but he had his trust on him, but they impounded his car. Now he ended up getting out, but he couldn't get his car back, even though his car was under trust. And he had to keep fighting them to get his car back. He's like, man, people, they wrong. They're not supposed to be doing that. My car under trust. What we gonna do? I was like, listen, I need you to first of all understand what you did on a spiritual level. You took this man's house. You tried to take his house. And now somebody took your precious BMW. And you're not getting it. You're just thinking you can use these trusts and you're harming people, but there's a higher law. This is why. Hold on. Wait a minute. Got the wrong chart. Right here. Universal laws. When you put an energy out, it must come back. So now you here trying to steal this man's house. Somebody's stolen your car. If you want to get it back, you got to clear that up on the spiritual side. Clear it up and apologize to that man for what you've done is trying to take his house. You've been dishonorable. And when you are in dishonor, the universe is going to deliver those energies back to you. The universe doesn't ever miss. All right. So now this is what I mean when I say it's important to me when people coming in, they have the luxury of learning. Don't come to me desperate and in need. What we got? You need to come in here ready to learn so that you know how to stand, and then use the tools in such a way that you don't hurt other people with them. And your purpose of the tools is to help you protect yourself, not for you to use them against somebody else. And if you're trying to take something away from somebody that doesn't belong to you or that you didn't pay, you're creating an energy that must be returned to you by law. All right. So why I do what I do is because we stand out from everybody else who's just selling a package. You need the information to understand what's really going on, and that to know that everything starts from the spiritual side, everything. All right. So going back to where my information comes from, all over the place. There is no one book. And I told you, I read legal documentation. And the more documentation you read, the more it's going to lead you to other documentations. And as I said before, when it came down to when I first started learning this information, I was studying everything, but everything kept leading me back to the Bible. The Bible was a book that I had no intentions nor desire to read for any reason. And it's really interesting that I sit here and I talk about the laws of maxims or maxims of law coming directly from the Bible, because I had to go to another country to learn that how powerful the Bible is. And it doesn't even matter about the document. It could be the Bible, it could be the Quran, it could be the Magna Carta, it could be whatever you say it is. You can create your own Bible, but I had to learn how truly powerful it is. And so, again, once you start studying, then it's going to take you into different places so that you can really go deeper in your understanding of what's going on in this dimension. Okay. I want to know if I have any questions. If you have any questions, let me know. My TikTok people, I love you. How you doing? YouTube, I love you. How you doing? Let me see. All right. So y'all don't ask me any questions. Y'all don't ever talk to me. So I don't know if you're listening or not, but hopefully you're listening. Hopefully I've given you some insight and answered some questions that I have a lot of people asking me. Also, let me say this too. My information also comes from source. So, as I said, those who are tuned in, they're going to get different frequencies from different places. All right. For me, there are things that, I ask source to deliver to me. I ask questions and I want the answer, and I'll get the answer. But then I can't tell you. So I got to ask source, can you send me some information so I can tell it to them, or tell me how to say it to them with love? Because one of the things for me, this is why I always speak on facts, because I want to be able to show you. So what I do is give you sources. Unfortunately, a lot of the sources that I speak about have been scrubbed from the internet. For example, the Act of 1871, that has been scrubbed from the internet. And that tells you the truth about what the United States Corporation is. When you go and look up the Act of 1871, now they're talking about some KKK. That didn't have anything to do with the Ku Klux Klan at all. But that's what they want to tell you it's about, when it had everything to do with the truth about the United States being a British corporation. They don't, again, but that being said, my goal is to get people to research for themselves and be willing to dive deep into, what this information is. So I just give you sources, and hopefully people will start going to look this information up for themselves. The other thing, I try to do, I don't do the readings a lot. I just want you to go and look it up, because I'm just going to give you what the facts are that my research shows. And I don't want to give you my opinion. I want to give you facts. All right. But all of this, none of this stuff is in a neat book. And the spirits keep talking to me. Diva, you need to write a book. Diva, you need to write a book. Okay. The book is coming. The first one anyway. Probably within the next month. And that book is going to be centered around the topic of my last session, which was dealing with how to give birth. You know, this question that somebody asked me about explaining something in idiot terms. Well, it's going to be centered around that book. All right. That book is going to be dealing with women, how you get rid of your periods. It's going to be dealing with, how to tap back into your powers, what it is as far as how to give birth without a man. All right. Some other things that it'll deal with. Just I'm scrolling through my notes, and then I'll tell you some other things that it'll deal with. It's basically dealing with mostly women, but men, you all need to hear it too. You know, understanding the vessel, who you are, where we come from, who we are as spiritual entities. So that book, we're going to be announcing it as we go through it. And, hopefully you guys will get purchase it and get some great information from it. So it's nice to just absorb all the information. I have one question. Is the USA a corporation? I apologize if you answered that already. Thank you for that question, Lorena. Okay, so remember I said how there was the United States Corporation, and they purposely created the name United States to steal the authority from the United States of America. Okay, so there's the United States of, hold on. Why don't I just go ahead and put it up so that you can see it? Because I saved it. Hold on for a second. I'm going to put my screen up, and then I'll show you. Thank you for that question. If you have any other questions while I pull this up, please go ahead and put your questions in the comment section. Okay. So I'm going to pull this up. All right. So I'm ready to share this illustration so that we have a clear understanding of what the difference is. Okay, so on this first clip, we've got all right, one second. I want to view this. All right, here we go. Now, on this first clip, I need us to understand what the difference is between these different United States. Okay. And I really do appreciate this question. All right, so up here, you'll notice there's United States of America. See this lowercase u, okay? On this, with this part, this United States of America, this deals with the body of land of North America. Then you have, and this really was going on before 1777, but then you have the United States of America with this capital U, lowercase united, capital S, lowercase States of America with a capital A. This deals with the federal government. This was created in 1777. All right. Owned by the people of America. It is the republic form of government. This is, you remember, unto the republic for which it stands. That's that pledge allegiance to the flag. This is the republic dealing with the people who are sovereign and God's property right here. All right. So now what ends up happening, you'll see these are the states. I want you to pay attention to these states. What you'll notice is all of the names are spelled out. Okay, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, all spelled out. All right, this is the United States of America. All right, going back to here. All those states, this is the organization or the company, I'm gonna call it a company, that was incorporated in 1777. It was federal and it was a republic form of government. And this here deals with the body of land that we know of with the lowercase u. Okay, it just means that these are states that happen to be united. That's what it means. And it dealt with the body of land. All right, now, what I need you to look at is this. And notice acronyms. OK for Oklahoma, TX for Texas, FL for Florida, GA for Georgia. Those are not, this is not the United States of America. This is the United States. It's a foreign, a fictitious entity that's created under, right here, Washington, D.C. It is a democratic form of government and is owned by Britain. Now, what happens is they created this territory, and then this is why they want you to, when you're sending out mail, one second. Okay, hold on. Trying to understand what, okay, give me a second. I'm trying to see why you guys can't see my visual aid. Well, let me try it one more time. Give me a second. You mean tell me y'all let me go all the way through this darn program and y'all didn't tell me you couldn't see it? Hold on. Doggone it. All right, share that. Hold on, let me go back to my first screen. Okay, now can you see it? I put the wrong screen up. Okay, so this is, let me start over. All right, the true, honest government, the republic, nothing is showing on the screen. Okay, all right, so this is what I was showing earlier. All right, so you have the United States of America up here with the lowercase u. This is representative of the body of land. So notice that the states are capital of America. So this just represents that there are states that happen to be united. That's why there's that lowercase u. Here, this is an organization, and it was under federal United States of America. All right, and it was founded in 1777. Owned by the people of America, and it was a republic form of government. All right, and so now you have you remember, as I talked about that pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic. That's what this meant, standing under God. All right, now going to the image, if we look at this, you'll notice that the names are all spelled completely. This is the United States of America. Okay, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, it's all spelled out. However, you have this United States, which was created in 1871 with the Act of 1871, and it was this fictitious land or area, and you notice the acronyms: UT for Utah, AZ for Arizona, TX for Texas. And what happens is, when you use these trademarked and copyrighted acronyms, especially when you're sending it through federal mail, if you don't claim to be a citizen of the United States corporation, then you're going to be hit with a trademark and copyright infringement fine of up to $50,000, and sometimes it could be more. This is how they get you. So because you don't know that, TX and US and USA and all that are acronyms, and they're incorporated. So these are trademarked and copyrighted. United States is all, notice this is all capital letters. Notice it does not say of America, because it has nothing to do with America. It has to do with the foreign entity that is British owned. So there is this corporation that stole the authority from the United States of America, and it's got all the people believing that they should register all of their assets under this corporation. And when you do that, you have given up all of your property, your cars, your house, your marriage, your children, to this corporation called United States, or U.S. or U.S.A. or all capital letter United States of America, democracy. Why they keep talking about, oh, this is a democracy, when did it become a democracy? When it was a republic. Now I need to go into this real quick, and I won't go deep. This session is just talking about my journey, but just getting into this, understanding the difference between democratic form of government versus a republic form of government. A republic form of government, and please note, this has nothing to do with your garbage politics. Don't talk to me about Trump. Don't talk to me about whatever that other woman. Don't talk to me about that, because that has nothing to do with the true government and what's really going on. All right, a democratic form of government is mob ruled, meaning the fewer in number have no voice. Democratic governments always end in chaos. Meanwhile, a republic form of government means that your rights are protected by God. That your rights are protected over everything else. So this means that nobody can package and resell your rights to you. They can't be taken from you. They can't be stolen. They can't be sold away. You can give them away, which is what you do every time you sign something, but they can't be stolen from you. But the minute you start standing on your God-given rights, all right, that's where your protection is. So in the republic is where your God-given rights are protected. What's your God-given rights? Well, the right to bear arms, the right to protect yourself, the right to not be forced into a contract. Hold on, where is it? All these rights that's in this book, the beginner law book that we talked to you about, these are your God-given rights. And so you got to know what they are so you can stand on them. But getting back to this, there are many different United States. And remember, once again, there is the place with these acronyms, and you got to understand why they want you to use these acronyms, because when you use them, you have put yourself under their jurisdiction, especially when you're sending mail through the federal post office. Okay, I'm not going into that today, but I hope, did that answer your question, Lorena? Let me see if I got all my images up here. Let me know if you have any other questions so that I can answer them before I get up out of here. So just going through my journey, if y'all have any other questions about what we do here at UNA, we've got a fabulous spring season 2025 coming up. So we want you all to enroll and join us in the UNA University. So as I said, one of our sessions on Mondays, I'm excited about. I'm always excited, but I'm definitely excited about this one, the current effects of history. All right, the current effects of history. So what we're going into is understanding where we came from on a spiritual level, on a physical level. We're going to go into the history of this country and some other countries as well, but mainly this country, and understand what our ancestors did in the past and how it affects us today. We're going deep into it. All right. So then you get to understand the spiritual side connected with the physical side and where we are today and how we make this new dimension and this new time in the future look the way we want it to look. Okay. So the other class we have is on Wednesdays, and that's called the Right Court Documents, the WRIT Court Document, because we're going to show you how to write the right court documents. Okay, you got to learn, first of all, that whenever you're writing, you are creating a court right there. Court is not in this physical place that we know of as a court. Court is right there on your document. You're going to learn how to write a court. All right, you're going to learn how to create a court on the federal side as well as the county side. You're going to learn how to be the judge of your court. You're going to learn how to stand in the event that you ever have to go into a physical court. Now, the way we operate, we like to stay out of their courts, but if you ever have to go into one, you're going to know how to stand. All right. So that's the right court document. Now, that they're going to start on April the 14th. That's going to be our first class, April the 14th. It is from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, and it is all by Zoom. All right, all by Zoom. If you want to be a part of it, find us on unauniversity.com, unauniversity.com. Also, if you're on TikTok or if you got our email address, you can send us an email, leave your name, number, email, of course, by people in TikTok, name, number, email, and we're going to definitely send you an invite to our workshop so you can find out about our UNA University and all of our other products and services. Listen, if y'all have any questions, ask them now, because I'm ready to get up out of here. I want y'all to know I really do appreciate you all. I do this because I love it. I do this because it is a calling. Please note that, because I wasn't trying to be here teaching nothing for nobody for no reason. That's not what I wanted to do. But it's a calling, and I'm here because I'm supposed to be here and make sure that people get the information. I need everybody to recognize the spiritual aspect of this, because when we get in alignment spiritually, we get to create the dimension that we care to see. We get to create what we vision. All right, some people call it manifest. We get to create that. And so it becomes a very powerful and exciting thing. This is an exciting time. This is not time for you to be upset and angry about who you think the president is. That's not the time. It's not time for you to be upset about what you think the president is going to do. That's not your president anyway. Not as a sovereign. You got another president. Your president got a lot of power. Your president has the ability to help you create whatever you want to see in this dimension. So when we get on the spiritual side and we get serious about learning who we are and what's going on in this dimension, well, you're not going to be worried about money. You're not going to be concerned about relationships or jobs. You're not going to be concerned about that because you're going to know how to control it. Because you're going to know how to control self, all right? That's what this is about, controlling you. Because once you get in control of yourself, everything in your dimension is going to reflect you. All right, Lorena and S Walk and all my other people in the house, I want to thank you. My people on TikTok, thank you. They call me Queen. Yes, you are. Thank you, Kay, for joining. And thank you for the love, all of the love and the gifts. Thank you so much, Kimbo. Thank you so much. Fibonacci, you best. Scoob, thank you for the badge. Tiffany, thank you. All right, I want y'all to know I love you. I appreciate you. Y'all didn't talk to me today. Look, if you want me to come back, then show me some love. All right. If you appreciate this information and you got anything out of it, I want you to hit that like. I want you to hit that subscribe. I want you to hit that follow. And look, let's do this. All right, I got a lot. We got all of us because I got a whole team. It's not just me, but there's a whole team of us. We got a lot to share, and really, we making it big. All right, UNA is going into year number 7. Our 7th year is coming up in 2026. And that's going to be a very big time, a very pivotal time. We've got a lot of changes coming and a lot of big things that we're doing. Again, we've got the book that's coming out. We have the beginner law book. Now we're going to start promoting the second book that I have to get out because the spirits keep talking to me, and I'm going to stop being hard-headed and do what I'm supposed to do. So, y'all, let's go. Let's build. Let's go into this dimension. All right, we're already in the 5th. Let's come on in this dimension and build what we care to see in this dimension. All right, I want y'all to know I love you. Diva Lyri, I'm out. Thank you. Bye-bye. Where my music? Give me